Dolphins fan. Let's go! What is good, Fin Nation? What's good? It's your boy Reason, and we are back here for another one as I'm joined on this beautiful Thursday, as always, by my co-host as we dive Fin too deep, Mr. Neal Driscoll. Neal, we meet again under, victory, as the great Johnny Drama would say from Entourage. We meet under victorious circumstances, another W under the belt. The Dolphins are 2-0, and man, listen, heading into a team that's a home opener where the energy is going to be on our side, and against a team that's sputtering a little bit, even though Russell Wilson's throwing tubs right now. Jesus. Man, just overall right now, how you feeling this week coming off a win and heading into a game, Neal, where this team can work out those kinks and be a well-oiled machine heading into Buffalo week 4 when it really is going to matter? How you feeling, man, after that win and heading into this big game?
Yeah, feeling great. My sister had a baby, so I've become an uncle again today. Earlier today, everything went well, so we have hopefully another Dolphins fan in the community. But everything looks good, man, because I've been saying this kind of all week. Like, I think a lot of people think that that scoreboard when we beat the Patriots wasn't impressive, but I think it was very impressive. For me personally, those are the ugly type of games you got to win. We were in control the whole time. And let's just be honest, man. The best defensive mind that this game's ever seen was terrified of Tua Tagovailoa. His whole game plan was taking away what Tua did. And when they zigged, we zagged, and we had a great game plan. Being 2-0 feels awesome. It's kind of what we've been talking about all offseason is where we are and where we're heading. And I think this team's playing closer to their floor than their ceiling at this point, is which makes it even more interesting because I think this team's going to get a lot better. Jalen Phillips is back this week. Looks like Terran Armstead's back. We'll see about Waddle, but the Broncos are dealing with some losses as well. I don't like the Broncos. I think it's when I was a kid growing up. I was a Marino guy, and a lot of people were Elway guys, so I've always hated the Broncos. So.
And when those, you're kicking me back as a Marino guy, when he won those back-to-back titles, all I thought to myself was Terrell Davis and a juiced up Bill Romanowski led defense that was stacked from front to back. Like, people want to talk about how Tua needs all these things to win. Go talk about Elway when he finally got over the hump and won championships. Talk about that guy needing everything to win. My Lord, mile high salute.
Terrell Davis, Shannon Starp, Ed McCaffrey, Rod Smith, a good line.
And that defense, Bill Romanowski was on roids. That whole defense was just juiced up and fired up and fantastic. People forget how good that defense was too, man.
But cloud nine, man, aren't you on cloud nine? Like 2-0, it's what I think we thought. The schedule to me after you get off of the 2 road games to start the season, and some of the injuries we've seen and some of the things that have gone down, like that schedule doesn't look too scary anymore. So I'm a big fan of where this team is. Mike McDaniel, Butch Berry, Vic Fangio's game plan from week 1 to 2. Coaches are doing the work. Players are putting the work. The Dolphins are that Super Bowl contender that I think we spent, the whole offseason talking about. And, what I'm really excited for this week, man, is Devon Achane's going to get some touches. And I'm really excited to see that, man, because even though he only had 2 carries last game, he was like an arm tackle away from breaking a long one already.
One of them were nullified too. Isaiah Wynn. He had a 5-yard run and then a 6-yard run.
Right.
Isaiah Wynn had the illegal block above the waist and took away that 6-yard. And then the crazy thing was when Tua hit him on that coming out of the backfield, you're like, man, if he hit him in space, holy geez. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
I don't know. I think this could be we're going to talk about another one here because he's his own segment. But I think a couple rookies this week are going to get a little bit of the spotlight, man. But yeah, I'm excited, Neil. Listen, I gotta hop into this right away because I know you're a baseball guy too. You know what I mean? And WAR wins above replacement. You know all above that. I don't know if you saw this, Neil.
I don't think I did.
But brother, right now the WAR lost to injuries for Miami is number 1 in the NFL.
Really?
If you exclude QBs, WAR loss to injuries, like you look at the teams and then the total WAR loss, Miami right now is number 1.
Wow.
Needham, Brandon Jones, Jalen Ramsey,
Ramsey's
big. You know how WAR works. Ramsey's probably the big WAR component of the group, right? Jeff Wilson. So
I mean, dude, that's what I'm saying. This team's just going to get better and better,
right?
It's going to be fun.
Terran Armstead's WAR. That's going to be a high WAR guy, right? So look at the WAR right now. The Miami Dolphins number 1 in the NFL in terms of WAR loss to injuries, and we're 2-0, baby.
Right. Wow. And they're overcoming adversity, man. And
Kendall Lamb.
Hell yeah, man. I mean,
I'm gonna say Cater. I'm gonna say Eli because Eli been a disaster, and we'll get into that in a bit too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because Fangio basically called him out today, and let's hop into that. Let's talk about that first. I'll play the clip here. Let's talk about this. We talked about Devon Achane just getting chances. Well, it was kind of something that I broached with both Ballgame and Richmond Webb yesterday on the finish line about how badly Eli Apple has been struggling. I've been talking about it all week. It was in my game takeaways that I post on Twitter now instead of, updating everyone on PFF grades on Mondays. I post my takeaways and, he was mentioning that how mightily he struggled. Well, this is what Fangio had to say about Eli Apple, Cam Smith, and other guys getting opportunities this weekend.
Whether to insert Kelvin Joseph, Harry Nickerson, or Cam Smith in Eli's spot in the rotation, is that something you're considering, or do you remain fully committed to Eli Apple being one of our top 4 corners at this time?
It's a long question.
That's a good question.
It is good.
Good question.
I love Fangio.
Yeah.
All 3 of your other options.
He does simple questions. He just has a hard time spitting them out. It's always something we're looking at, obviously. Yeah, Eli had a tough game for him. He did contribute some good plays. And, right now, this early in the season, we're going to consider all options.
I think we talk about players having
Okay, listen, I gotta say this, brother. You know what that sounds like, Neil? That sounds like a head coach early on making a quarterback change, and he's not telling anyone that he's making a quarterback change. You know what I mean?
I love the
That
transparency, though.
That sounds like you're benching a veteran quarterback for a rookie quarterback, but because he's done the head coach spin before, but now he's a defensive coordinator talking about a cornerback. And I'm getting this, as much as we think we're going to see Devin A-Chain, I think people now are going to get to see Cam Smith. And he warned us, Neil, that he was never going to throw Cam Smith to the fire because he had talked about how talented Cam Smith was, but he always basically was implying or insinuating that mentally Cam Smith, and it's a lot to take on, this defense and what's asked of you coming out, out of college right away. And he told us throughout the offseason, just like he warned us about David Long early on. He warned us that, Cam Smith, as talented he is, he's not as caught up as where he would like to be, and Cam missed some time with an injury. But, Neil, I think this is now we're going to see Cam start to get massaged in. And because now I know he's finally going to get some snaps, I'm calling it first INT is coming this weekend for Cam if this guy has like 20 to 30 snaps, he's gonna have an INT.
Yeah, and I love the transparency from Fangio there. I don't think a lot of coaches will have the guts to say that. And I'm not gonna bury Eli Apple. He's a guy that we got because Ramsey got hurt. He's a veteran. He's only costing us $1.6 million. I think he'll actually play.
Bro, it's fundamental stuff, dog. Angles and tackling. Like it's not even just like it's just fundamentals he's missing on, dude.
And it was Devontae Parker, which is the most concerning part about all of it.
It's like Tyreek Hill, right?
Right. So because I'll say this, the one concern that I have about Denver is that I think they have a really good wide receiver with Cortland Sutton. They have Jerry Jeudy. Marvin Mims is a rookie that I like a lot. Russell Wilson looks like he's playing much better. I do think Sean Payton's a good offensive coordinator. They spent a lot of money on that offensive line, and it doesn't look so good. Their offensive line's been giving up a lot of pressure. To me, Eli Apple isn't going to help this team down the stretch. He's kind of just like a sub-injury replacement. Yeah. I want to see what we have in Cam Smith because I think he'll get beat once in a while, but I think that guy, he plays with the fire. He's got the dog in him. He'll go out there and make some plays. If that guy becomes the player that we think he can, when we get Jalen Ramsey back, we'll cover everybody. You know what I mean? Yeah. We got Nick Needham coming back. So I do think that it's a big development, actually. I don't think it's swept under the rug. And I love most about the whole scenario is that the days of settling, the days of trying to force players onto the field are over here. You have to earn your snaps in Miami now on the defensive side of the ball. And that goes for everybody, man. And I love Jalen Phillips, and we both are big fans of him. Dude, you got to be careful missing time because when you miss time and Bradley Chubb and Andrew Van Ginkel play like they did, you know what I mean? Like, there's only so many snaps to go around. You got to be on the field, man. So I think it is a big development, and I'm excited to see the debut of Cam Smith on the defensive side of the football. And I think he earned it by playing stellar special teams, and that is what you want to see from a young guy. Cam Smith walked on that field at South Carolina and was the best football player on the field. You know what I mean? Like, he was better than his peers. You know, he was, him going out there and handling his business the right way. Because I think prior to the season, I think I had mentioned on one of the pods that we had that I had a little bit of concern about some of the character stuff that we were hearing, if you remember. And, like to see him mature enough to kind of go about his business the right way in the NFL. I think that's a really good start to his career. So
I
let's
agree.
see some more snaps.
Yep. And speaking with that defensive side and sticking with the corner room, Ronaldo Hill today was, basically saying that Jalen Ramsey is completely involved mentally and with actions recovering from meniscus injury. Ramsey calls out tendencies from the Dolphins sidelines, said, quote, "We know he'll be back and he's preparing himself for when he will be back." I mean, we can talk about acquiring a running back all we want at the trade deadline, but he's probably not going to be far off from the trade deadline, and that'll be like acquiring another elite player mid-season. And we already see how involved Ramsey is in the sidelines. You see him jumping up and down, all that kind of stuff. It's clearly an elite player itching to get back on the field, man. And early on I had worries if he would be even maybe a shell of himself till he got fully healthy from that injury. But with how quickly I've seen things progress and how sharp he's keeping himself, man, I think, this guy's going to come in and, I think we're going to get, I don't think there's going to be much drop off unless the injury was bigger than we thought and nags him. But if he's good to go health wise, Neil, like I'm fully convinced that Jalen Ramsey is going to be an impact player and a difference player, not a guy who should have stayed out probably the rest of the year and rehabbed. You know what I mean? So
I think his commitment to the team despite his injury is one of the most impressive things I've ever seen, actually. Like, it's not often, he's like Lance Harbor from freaking Varsity Blues, coaching Johnny Moxon up. Seriously, like, not only is he there, but he's keeping the energy. He's helping young corners develop. For me, if gun to my head, the best three players on this football team right now are Tyreek Hill, Jalen Ramsey, and Tua Tagovailoa. And, when you get a player of that caliber back, man, I said this is like the poker game, right? And, you watch the World Series of Poker, right? And you sit there, you play your hands, you slow play it, and then you kind of got to buckle up when you're at the final table. Like for me and the Miami Dolphins are going to be at the final table and they're going to be like, oh, yeah, we have this ace up our sleeve. His name's Jalen Ramsey. He's the best defensive back that the NFL's seen since Ed Reed, and he's going to come in a role. We already have X with a sweet pick, by the way. Javon Holland's playing outrageous football. Dude, Deshaun Elliott, you remember I said that I thought he was as good as Brandon Jones. He looks pretty damn good out there, but Brandon Jones will be back with more snaps. This secondary, I think, will get so much better when Ramsey's inserted into it. I mean, I'll say this, I want to see him back early as well. But if we keep winning, do not force it. Just like Terron Armstead, I'm a big believer that the Dolphins' biggest games are coming in January. So it's important to win, and you don't want to get behind. But this is a marathon, not a sprint. And I think I've learned as a football fan, I always want my team to come off to a fast start the season well. Well, you know what, man? That's important. And there's only 17 games, so they all matter. But it's also important to finish. And I think the Dolphins should be strategic on how they utilize players that are injured. And I think the better safe than sorry approach is probably the one you want to have. You look at the landscape of the NFL, man, I wish you could turn injuries off. Trevon Diggs today tears his ACL. Yeah. It's hard to watch Nick Chubb. I know you and I love Nick Chubb. To watch that, man, to me, that was awful because it's not about me for just the Dolphins. I love football, and you asked me name
better when players like that are in
you name 5 guys in the NFL that I like that aren't on the Dolphins. Nick Chubb's going to be one of those 5 guys, man. Yeah. And I hate the fact that this season we're not going to see Nick Chubb, and we might never see him again. And that to me sucks because.
What was it? They said that it's going to need 4 surgery or 2 surgeries, something like that. They said that it's going to need it was something like 3 or 4 surgeries, multiple surgeries.
Yeah, man, it's awful to see, and this is a competitive league. And look, I'm not going to lie, man. This week we might play the Broncos without Justin Simmons and Frank Clark. That's okay. It's a 1 week.
We dealt with it last year, and we're dealing with it right now.
We dealt with it, and injuries help. And if it helps you get wins, but there's a difference between a guy missing a week or two to a guy who pays his bills by playing football, potentially never playing again. And I want to win. And we see Aaron Rodgers, we see Nick Chubb, now we see Trevon Diggs. It does suck. I don't know what it is. The good news is modern medicine gets these guys back quicker. but it does suck not to have it. Right now, like
The
Aaron
problem with Nick
Rodgers
Chubb
against
is
us and Nick Chubb
it,
again.
he already. That's where he already had the knee. Where he already
Right.
had a previous injury, right, to that
Yeah,
leg.
yeah,
So,
but prayers to Nick Chubb, and I hope he does. If there's a guy that can bounce back from an injury like that, man, Nick Chubb, what he can throw around in a weight room, man, honestly, Nick Chubb's a bad dude.
oh yeah, for
He's a
real.
bad dude, man.
And of course, Minka Fitzpatrick was on the other end of it, right?
And that was a man. I know that's in a Steelers podcast. That dirty ass hit, man.
Yeah,
Dirty
I
ass
agree.
hit.
I agree.
Dirty ass hit.
Godchild says, shout out from Hawaii. Hawaii, love your channel and the Dolphins. As good as this team's look, is it bad to say I'm still holding back from all of the previous fails and traumas? The last couple of years, we started hot. And Anthony said, can't wait to be 3-0. Fins up, gentlemen. But okay, so let's talk about this. Because I've seen, because I've seen people on Twitter like, hey, it's only 2 games. I mean, but listen, and there's people who watch this channel, us, etc. For people who really understand ball, for people who, think about a lot of the things we're seeing right now. Why people like me and Neal are excited. Why people like me and Ballgame get excited. Look at a lot of the things we projected in the offseason based off of what we were seeing and what we know of past football and just about the game of football in general. We talked about how this offense could be historic in year 2. They're averaging more yards per play than the 2,000 yard Rams are averaging like 3-4 yards per play. And the Rams average, that legendary 2000 Rams average like 6.98. You see right now we've put up the most yardage in the first 2 games of Dolphins history, right? We beat the record that we set last year. I mean, we are seeing historic trends right now. I mean, look at what Hill's trending towards. You look at what Tua is trending towards. We like in that pocket. We haven't seen anything since the Marino era, even close to this. So I mean, and that's just starting with the offense. When you talk about the defense, right? Like, why did me, Neal, and all these guys not panic after week 1 when a lot of people in the chat were panicking about the defense? Because we were like, hey, Fangio, we know what we're dealing with. This coach is going to figure it out. They only allow 88 yards rushing this weekend. Thank you very much.
Right.
And they really buckled down. They got it done. And, they really came up in the second half when we needed them to. So anyways, my whole point is a lot of the things we projected throughout the offseason, whether it be players, units, whatever the case, are coming to fruition. So that's why people like me and Neal get excited and talk Super Bowl. And that's why players on the team are talking Super Bowl, because we all understand the situation, understand the expectations, and understand what this unit as a whole is capable of from the front office down to the field this year, right? And that's why you got people like us talking Super Bowl. So where are you at, Neal Driscoll? Because, I think it's fair to talk if you've been getting projections right, if you've been watching this team construction from day 1 since McDaniel came here, and we've got projections right from last year trending into this year. I think it's okay to talk Super Bowl because it's on the trajectory of what we expected. And what did we always say? Year 2, year 3 is when we're going to be talking Super Bowl. Year 1 was about making the playoffs.
Right. Look, it's 2 games, but it's also 12% of the season already. So this isn't
not
baseball.
an 82-year game. Yeah. Or hockey or basketball, right?
You only have 17 of these games. Every win counts in the NFL. Yeah. I picked the Dolphins to win the Super Bowl for the first time in my 36 years as a fan before this football season. And here's why. It's different, right? I did not expect the offensive line to be the 12th ranked offensive line in the league.
6th, actually, if you go by PFF, Sports Pillow Solutions, and ESPN, right now we're 6th.
Wow. So Butch Berry, kudos to you. I didn't know who the hell you really were when we hired you. I'm not going to act like I did. It didn't sound like a great hire at first, but this guy's getting players to play at levels that they never have before. Yeah. Kudos to him. Great job. I think Vic Fangio's defense is going to get better and better. You're seeing guys like Bradley Chubb just had his best game as a Dolphin. Maybe he's not a bust overall, right? Andrew Van Ginkel just played like his hair was on fire. Javon Holland looks like the best safety in football this whole damn season. You got Xavier Howard tiptoeing interceptions better than most wide receivers can on the sideline.
Neal, is Javon Holland not another one of our examples where we said he's better than Justin Simmons? He's going to be an all-pro in this defense, and what have you seen?
It's unbelievable. And here's the thing, man. Above all that, and I don't want to tell anyone how to fan, but part of being a fan is being excited about your team, not just waiting for the sky to fall.
Yeah, exactly.
The
Yeah.
reason this is different is one reason, and I don't even think you and I expected this type of play. Tua Tagovailoa to me right now is putting himself as the second best quarterback in this league. And he's severely outplaying Joe Burrow. He's severely outplaying Justin Herbert. He's severely outplaying Jalen Hurts. This is why you can't judge a movie to the credits at the end or on, because look, 2 years ago, I agree. Tua might have looked like the worst of those quarterbacks outside of Jordan Love in the first round that were selected, right? But context matters. And what we've seen literally is I don't care about fantasy football stats when it comes to my quarterback. I want a guy who's back there. What Tua did before the half last week against the Patriots, I called him an assassin. That was my favorite drive of Tua Tagovailoa's career. To go there right before the half and put 7 more points against Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick's I just read a Bleacher Report story that said he's the best defensive mind in the history of this league. Tua was terrified. He's checking out the
See how
boogeyman.
hard he tried to beat Tua? See how hard? Have you ever seen him try to beat a quarterback that hard, other than when they scheme for Lamar Jackson, Neil?
Have you ever seen a second-year coach like Mike McDaniel outsmart
Just
the
slice and
mad
dice
genius
him, bro.
and have a game plan that just did it? And honestly, we left 17 points on the board, so that's where
could've been even worse.
I'm frustrated that we didn't score more. But you have to be able to win ugly in the NFL. We're not going to go put up 40 points every week.
Yep.
Like, you have to be, and that's what I love about Tua. Tua can win the shootout. Tua can be a smart game manager with the football if he has to be. Raheem Mostert, man, he had his probably best game as a Dolphin. He looked great. Honestly, Tua won with a pedestrian performance by Tyreek Hill. Waddle went out early. River Craycraft's catching balls, Braxton Berrios. Those guys aren't they're really good players on this football team, but Tua's
See how Tua wasn't rattled, wasn't startled, and just adjusted to the game plan when you took away his explosive weapon?
Right.
He's like, all right, I'll just spread around. 9 different receivers, 6 of them over 20 yards, 5 of those over 25 yards or more.
Unbelievable. And I don't think you can sit here and worry if Tua's healthy or not, man. At the end of the day, what's going to happen is going to happen.
Well, isn't that what he did in the Browns game too? Didn't he? Remember, Reek didn't have 100 yards against the Browns, and he had like 6 or 7 or 8 different receivers in that game as well.
I'm blown away by how Tua's playing. I'm blown away. Like, honestly, you asked me this question 3 weeks ago. Do I think Tua Tagovailoa was an MVP candidate? And I kind of half-assed answered it. Yeah, if he stays healthy and, all the weapons, the line holds itself up, he's better than anything I thought right now. And that's coming high praise. I truly believe he's on the verge of becoming a face of the NFL type player. And it's awesome to see. It's amazing what a good offensive line can do for a football team too. When he has time and he can sit back there and scan the field, he's getting rid of the ball in 2 seconds, Reason. Like that, that's insane. That is insane. Like, he has Durham Smythe being more productive than Mike Gesicki was here. Like, it's just what he's making players better. And I said this in a tweet, and I got attacked by every Chiefs fan in the world. I think it's so ironic that Tyreek Hill leaves the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes and becomes a more feared, more productive player. It's amazing to watch, man. It's an amazing thing to watch right now. It's must-watch TV. Most fun team in the league.
It is. We got about 400 people in the room right now and climbing. So while we're on the topic of it, man, you're not the only one surprised and taken aback. I want you to see this. Here's the quarterback performance in expected pass situations. Right now, look at this. Tua Tagovailoa in terms of EPA per dropback in expected pass situations. Right now, Tua
Look who's
Tagovailoa.
last.
Yep. Deshaun Watson. And right there's Kenny Pickett. And I remember there were fans in this fan base who wanted Watson, and then they were sitting on their panels and their spaces advocating that we also draft Pickett if we don't get Watson. And they're both at the bottom right there. And you look at this right now, Dak Prescott and Tua Tagovailoa, man, look at that. Expected pass situations determined by when the pass expectation is 70% or greater. So when the defense basically knows you're coming, And right now, Tua Tagovailoa, and we've seen it on the tape, Neal, whether you
It's
watch
great.
it on 22 or where you watch it live. He's threading needles, and you're seeing him throw at we thought he was confident last year. Well, if he was confident last year, he's cocky as hell this year with some of the windows he's threading through. I mean, he is just oozing machismo like his name is Razor Ramon when he throws the football right now. And man, I mean, look at this. I mean, you think you're taken aback. Defenses across the NFL in expected pass situations, they can't even stop him, Neal.
Right. I mean, look, man, it's impressive. I mean, one thing that we're not even talking about the Patriots game is Waddle dropped the ball that should have been a 95-yard touchdown on that slant.
And let momentum swing huge in their
would have
favor.
split. I have a feeling he would have split those safeties and taken it to the house, and then you're adding another 90 yards to it. You know what I mean? A 333. But honestly, I'm glad that they're going to hit some roadblocks because it's only going to make them better. You know, you don't want it to be smooth sailing. You want them to hit some roadblocks, but look, this is everything you've ever wanted as a Dolphin fan. You have a franchise quarterback that's playing elite level football. You have a well-coached team with a ton of superstars. So the answer to the original question, yeah, man, I can't tell you how to fan, but I think sitting there waiting for the other side of the other shoe to fall off is probably not the right approach. I think bask and enjoy this and really appreciate what you have as a fan right now because you never know, man. We went through some hell, man. This isn't Cleo Lemon out there anymore. I mean, some of the stuff we had to go through as Dolphin fans, I mean, that's what happens. That's probably more stressful than being a prisoner of war and getting captured is watch the Dolphins inept Joe Philbin and you know what I mean? And all those teams God, man, but those days are over. So I say carpe diem, man, live in the day and enjoy this team. And they can go out and beat anyone any given Sunday. I know that.
You ready for me to bring our conversation about the Super Bowl and Tua Tagovailoa so far full circle right now?
Let's do it.
Tua Tagovailoa has a chance to break an NFL record on Sunday against the Broncos. Neal, do you know what that record is?
Passing yards first 3 games of the season?
Oh, I'm sure he probably near that, but no. He has a chance to set the NFL record this week. And all he has to do is make that happen. To make that happen is beat the Denver Broncos. So
Super Bowl coaches, right?
If he were to beat Sean Payton this week, he will have beaten 10 straight Super Bowl. 10 straight Super Bowl coaches will have lost to Tua Tagovailoa. Right now, he's won 9 straight games against Super Bowl winning coaches, which is tied for the record and the most in NFL history. If Tua Tagovailoa can push the streak to 10, he'll set the record, and he'll have a chance to do that this week for the longest winning streak against Super Bowl winning coaches.
Incredible, man. Incredible. I mean, look, and he's 5-0 against Bill Belichick. He's 2-0 against John Harbaugh. I mean, man, look, wins, whether it's a quarterback stat or not, if you're 5-0 against Bill Belichick, that is a headline.
Elway was 4-0, right? Elway was 4-0, and then that was the record before Tua beat it.
Yeah,
against Belichick.
Well, and I don't know what Bill's plans are after this year, but he's going to get another loss coming up here and be 0-6 against them. And if he stays out around another year, he'd probably be 0-8. So Bill might be better off just kind of riding out into the sunset.
Hank says that he watched the 72 Dolphins and this team can be special.
Yeah, I believe it, man. Look, have you ever had this feeling about a team? The Dolphins in your adult life?
The closest things I can remember was the unicorn line in 2016. I thought we could win a few playoff games, not necessarily Super Bowl, but when we had Ricky and that defense, I thought we were a Super Bowl team minus the quarterback. And that bugged me every year because I was like, if we had a good quarterback, we'd be in the Super Bowl. So I haven't felt this way since Ricky was here with that defense, but we have the quarterback, which is different than, that's a big asset. You know what I mean?
Right. I mean, that's what I'm saying. For me, I love that Dolphins team, man, with Ricky, Jason, Zach. I mean, Surtain, man, those teams were honestly, say like it is now, man. You can't sleep the night before. You're too excited. Your team's about to play. At least we have a 1:00 game this week. We don't have to wait all night. But I never believed in Jay Fiedler. And because of that, I was always getting the playoffs is fun. You know what I mean? Like we need, maybe some miracle happens. I never thought we had a realistic opportunity, barring a miracle. With this, like I hate to say it, I'm at a point where, man, I could be disappointed if we don't go. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
I could be
yeah.
disappointed if we're not in that game.
Yeah, I agree. Man, I agree 110%. I wanted to get your thoughts on what Frank Smith said about Connor Williams' snapping issues, because he mentioned it, but then he said, he mentioned the snapping issues, but even then he said, how good Connor Williams has been after the snap.
Right.
And listen, we'll go over this, right here, but do you think they're starting to make excuses a little bit? And listen, I like Frank Smith. I think he's a smart guy. I think he's a good coach. But I don't know. Do you think they're kind of making excuses? But because even I say, he's an all-pro after the snap, but to be a center, the snap freaking matters. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
Williams said that, we're going to get it fixed. We're working countless hours on it. We're going to get it fixed. He said, I take responsibility for them. He's fine. Maybe I've been short and pulled them here and there. I need to be consistent on it. I think we'll be good moving forward. So, I mean, even Connor Williams took the blame on them. What's your situation like? Because I haven't had a chance to pick your brain about that, especially heading into this game and then the Bills game in week 4, where it's going to matter, man.
Yeah, it's the only area of the team right now where I see a regression. Like, I think he was never a great, snapping quarter center. Like, I think there was a couple times last year, but in 2 weeks to have 7, and one of them, I will put on Tua. I think the last one that happened was on Tua pulling out a little early. But like, yeah, it's concerning because I know I heard me say that out loud.
That's
too.
What she said, man.
But I like. It is concerning because it'd be a shitty way to lose a football game. I think it's cost us 2 touchdowns in the season already. And it's ironic. It's like it seems like it's amplified once we get into the opponent's red zone. I don't know, maybe because it's a long drive and their hands are sweaty. I'm trying to think of any excuse I can make for the guy. Dog ate my homework, but like they got to get this fixed, man, because say that game where it does cost us is the AFC Championship. Connor Williams could be a top 3 center in football after the snap. But, man, that's Bill Buckner type stuff there. So, I mean, they have to. Now, I will say this reason. I've heard from 3 people I know that were at practices and at training camp and said that they saw after almost every practice Connor and Tua working on this. So, they're putting in the work.
It's not translating, though.
It's not translating. It scares me, man. So, that's one of my big concerns. And the second is you already know what my other concern is. Dude, fly me to Miami this weekend. I think I can hit some kicks. Put me a kicker. You don't have to pay me 3.4. Pay me 1.7. I'll take half the money. I'm probably more reliable than Jason Sanders at this point. Are we going to let this guy be the kicker for the whole season?
Yeah.
I know it's a bad contract, but like, dude, I think he's got to be on extremely thin ice.
I agree.
He has to be.
I agree, but the problem is, what are the options out there right now?
Yeah, there's never. But Justin Tucker was undrafted, right? Like you can, you need to find a miracle. But like, I will say, man, like, I thought it was a bad play called. I mean, a bad coaching call to kick it, 55-yarder. I would have punted probably and pinned him back, and the bot snap before it, like there it is, like that's the snowball.
He said he was going to go for it on 4th down before the bot snap happened.
Right, so it's like there's the snowball going downhill. One bad thing impacts another thing. That turns bad. And, dude, I'll say this. I never thought we were going to lose that football game. We were in control from the opening whistle to the clock striking 0.
Mm-hmm.
It got hairy there for a second when it shouldn't have.
Yeah, I agree.
But Connor Williams playing outrageous football, though, man. Like, him and Robert Hunt, Isaiah Wynn, I mean, like
even
you can't
Austin
keep
Jackson.
them all. But, Austin Jackson gave up a sack to Mac Judon.
That was a great move by Judon.
Judon is awesome, man.
He had Judon arced out, and Judon just had a great counter move with the spin. I mean,
and that was the one time Tua held the ball for 3 seconds versus 2 seconds, right? Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I think everyone's playing really good football, man. Like, I hate to – I would love to see us go out there, have a thorough victory this week, and not have one of those damn bot snaps and a missed field goal.
I agree.
That'd be
Just
fun.
be on point and get those and
Right.
finish those drives off instead of leaving points on the board, man. You know what
Yep.
I mean?
Yep.
So that's where I'm at with that for real. So let's talk about this weekend. You know, they fired Vic Fangio. Butch Barry got fired and slandered. Bradley Chubb got traded. Tua
Sean Payton.
Sean Payton spent how much of his broadcast career, whether on Colin Coward or whatever, trashing him. Is this a revenge game for Bradley Chubb, Vic Fangio, and company? Because it's the home opener. The energy is going to be real. I really feel it didn't even matter if it was the Broncos. Whoever it was going to get stomped out. But because there's going to be a little extra spice with what I just mentioned there, do you look at this as because, one thing I wanted to point out to you, right? Ronaldo Hill, he was kind of asked about the whole situation after Fangio was asked about it. And, what had happened was in terms of previously, coaching the Broncos and facing some players that he coached there, Fangio said the storylines are juicy, but not as effective as you think it is. But then Ronaldo Hill, what does he think about Fangio relishing playing his former team? This is what he said. Who wouldn't want it going against your former team? He hasn't mentioned it. Only thing he has mentioned is us continuing to grow as a defense and be a 3-0 as a unit. But I mean, you can tell, that we can all sense it. Listen, Fangio has a great poker face. How are you looking at this, man? Because I think the Broncos might get worked even a little extra hard because of some of that stuff we mentioned.
Yeah, I think that it's one of those games where, quarterbacks that can move have given this defense trouble, but that was a pre-Vic Fangio thing, so I'm not even going to count that. I think the offense is going to completely light up Denver. I honestly I don't think Jalen Waddle's going to play. I think Waddle's going to be out. Tyreek's going to be with Patrick Surtain, who's a junior, who's a top 5 corner in football. God, I'd love to get him on this team and continue that tradition. But I just think Tua's playing such good football. I think we'll be able to run the ball. I think our defense is going to make plays. And it does have the makings to be that quote trap game. But I think because it's our home opener, this team's going to be motivated. I think the Dolphins put up 38 points in this game. And that would be 5 touchdowns and a field goal. So if I break it down like that, I already predicted. I think A-Chain's going to get his first rushing touchdown as a Dolphin, and I think it's going to be a plus 20-yard run. That's my pick for my long shot. I think Tua's going to throw 3 or 4 touchdowns, and I think the defense is going to give Russell Wilson some trouble, and especially I think Jalen Phillips is going to get a 2-sack game coming back, being motivated. Probably sat and missed being out on the field with his boys. But I think I could see it being for me something like 38-27. I think we'll cover the spread. The scoreboard will make it look closer than it was. Maybe they get a late touchdown to keep it up. But Justin Simmons being out, that's huge. The Broncos' best player for me.
You don't think we're going to clamp down defensively? You think we're going to go 27 points at home?
Well, here's why. I think that if it is Cam Smith or Eli Apple, man, and they're getting Jerry Jeudy, that's going to be a tough matchup for them. Maybe that's ambitious to think that they'll score that much. I think the Broncos are a better team than their 0-2 record indicates. But the running game honestly doesn't scare me much. Samaje Perine and Javonte Williams, their line hasn't been that good. Maybe I'm giving them too much credit, but for me, man, I'm at the point where I don't really care about the style points as much. Make sure you're 3-0. Yeah, make sure we're 3-0 when I wake up Monday morning and I can put on Good Morning Football, and I want to see. God, man, they don't like to cover us though too much on those shows.
Only Peter Schrager. That's it.
Yeah, if we lost to the Patriots, that would have been the breaking news, on the first thing they probably showed. But it's all good. Yeah, I think this is the Dolphins are just a better team than the Broncos, and
they'll be worn down by that third or fourth quarter by the sun, anyways.
Well, and Vic Fangio can say whatever he wants, but man, I'm not buying that shit, dude. They sent you out on your ass. you're a well-respected coach in this league. You're a defensive guru. You're telling me right now that you don't want to stick it to him, man.
And they stuck you with Drew Lock.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah, you had Drew Lock. You know, they go out for Sean Payton, and give him whatever he wants and pay him all this money. Like, I don't know, man. I think the Broncos got an interesting culture, and they're another team.
And they had the audacity to ask you if you'd come back and be defensive coordinator under Sean Payton.
Right. Like, so, yeah, I think we're going to win, man. And I think, I'd like to see again, I don't know if Waddle's going to be out there. It's hard, man, because the Dolphins do have some big names that have been out, you know what I mean? And they are still 2-0. But, yeah, man, I love beating the Broncos. I remember I always joke that, and this is a God's honest truth, the reason I had to move off campus when I went to Maryland is there was a Sunday night football game against the Broncos, and that was when Olindo Mare hit a outrageous long kick. I think it was 59 yards, and we won. Dude, I was lit up.
Remember how good he was?
I was yelling and flipping chairs.
That guy fell off hard too. Remember Olindo Mare?
Oh yeah. Well, and that's it. Like, I think for Jason Sanders, I do want to be fair to him. I think it's all mental. I don't think it's a skill talent problem. It's the kicker yips.
But he's also never known as having a booming leg. He was also never known for having a boom leg.
Well, I think he's going to finish the year here, but with almost $4 million in cap savings, he's gone after this year, right?
Yeah. Right. Brad wants to say, "Hey, thanks for all the great Fins content. Hey, Neal, where are we Baltimore locals meeting up for game days?"
Yeah, well, tell Brad to hit me a message. I know Robert, another guy, he hit me up. I live in a town called Glendon. There's a bunch of I don't know if you've ever heard of these reasons. They're called Green Turtles. There are a bunch of the people meet up there. I throw down at my house a lot as well. But hit me up privately, and we'll definitely meet up for a game, man. I get out there, and usually I don't like to go to the bars when the Ravens are playing because the Ravens get preferential TV set up, and I don't like that. I don't like to be on the corner TV in there. So those games I usually watch at my house, but I do like getting out, eating some wings, having some beers. And
you're going to have some primetime games. Don't worry.
Yeah. I mean, I think we're going to get flexed on a couple, maybe potentially too.
Yeah.
They're going to kick those Jets out, man. No one wants to watch Zach Wilson.
Ashton says, Brad G will be meeting at Raven Stadium to kick that arse. Green Turtles are awesome.
Yeah. Oh, nice. Nice. Yeah. And it seems like I'm starting to get a lot of people hit me up about the Commanders game and the Ravens game, which are both we're in a 40-mile radius practically. I'll be at both of those games for sure, man. So if you're going, let's meet up. Hopefully we don't get any of the drive-bys from the Twitter space streets, man. It was getting intense. But yeah, no, Hank, we can definitely pick a game.
Kill me, bro.
No, we could pick a game, Hank, and all the guys that are local to Baltimore. I'll put the wife in like the Four Seasons spa for a day and get my mom to watch my kids, and we can throw down at my house. My wife is very cool about letting me do that. It's been a little bit since Frank the Tank came out, though, man, and this Dolphin team makes me celebrate. So I used to take a shot of Black Sambuca every time the Dolphins scored a touchdown. I've migrated over to Fireball, which is okay.
Oh, bro,
but like those hangovers, man, those hangovers. And Tua Tagovailoa, he might be an accessory to murder if he keeps throwing touchdown passes, man. He might kill me, but it's all good.
He said, "What's your DM? Are you gonna tell him Twitter?"
Yeah, Twitter, Neal Driscoll. Yep, and I'll make sure I'm following you.
So Hank says everyone to Neal's house. So you have some people knocking on your door. You have people flying in from different parts of the country, brother.
Well, dude, I'll tell you what, man. I'm on a streak right now, man, where I've been running into all these new Dolphin fans that I've seen. I don't know if it's because they're winning. And I'm in Baltimore. I'm a huge Orioles fan, man. The town's buzzing because of the Orioles right now. You know what I mean? It's been fun, but now it's like the Dolphins got a little swagger. Both my teams, I mean this and I'm biased, but I think the Orioles are the most fun team to watch in baseball, and I think the Dolphins are the most fun team to watch in football. Unfortunately for me, I don't think the Washington Capitals are going to be that fun to watch this year.
Hey, I would have said the same if we didn't get Eric Carlson and just restructure our whole front office, because I think the Penguins are going to be fun to watch again this year. So I'm excited.
Yeah. Well, Ovi's going to be chasing the goal record, so that's what I'll be watching. But no, man, hey, dude, this is honestly, man. We talked about this for the whole offseason. We were excited about this team. I think you picked 14-3. I said Super Bowl. Like, I just think that's so fun to have a team that gives you that much hope, and it's awesome, man. It's so enjoyable. Like I don't know, but man, like what are we on Thursday night? I don't want to wish my life away and my weekends away, but man, I cannot wait till Sunday at 1 o'clock to get up, get my gear on, walk. You know what I mean? Like that to me is like as good as it gets, man. And I absolutely am having the most fun I've ever had as a Miami Dolphin fan right now. And it's great to share it with all the the people that support us and and this community. And there's a lot of good in this community, and I think that sometimes the bad can outweigh it, but like, man, there's so much good. There's so many good people, and man, I want that. I want Miami Dolphins fans to take over Las Vegas, man. I like that's such a dangerous spot to have a Super Bowl, man, because you could be up gambling all night. You got the games, man. I'm starting to get ahead of myself,
You are.
but you know what? So be it. My team's making me look good.
I mean, hey, I got into this in 2019. We, I hit 10K followers on Twitter last night, and the bigger goal here isn't about followers. It's I want to share in a championship with this community that we built now. You know what I mean? I want to definitely share in a big win with this community now that we're entrenched in it the way we are and stuff. It's all about the bigger picture, really, for me here. And I think this is probably the best window. This is the best window we've had since we've been on Dolphins Twitter, and it's the best window we've had since Marino left. So, and let's get it done, man. That's where I'm at. Let's make this window count because of the big investment that's been made. So I don't know. This has all the makings of being this is the first time I can say in a long time that it feels like only the team itself or health can stop them from achieving greatness.
Well, look, and you see it. Like, look, I think the NFC, there's a three-team race. It's the Eagles, the 49ers, and the Cowboys. And there's not much else. We were told all offseason that the AFC's the big bad, and 10 wins isn't going to get it done. Yet there's only two undefeated teams, us and the Baltimore Ravens in the division right now. Look, I don't think the Chiefs look.
And I don't think the Ravens are for real. I they don't look like the real 2-0 team.
No, I mean, look, they have key deficiencies in the secondary and at pass rush, and it's hard to win in this league with that, right? And
yeah, but has their offense even been impressive other than Zay Flowers?
Lamar looked a little bit better last week from what I saw, and I didn't watch the whole game or anything like that. He looked better. Mark Andrews was healthy. Their best receiver actually looked like Nelson Aguilar to me. He was actually playing pretty good. Beckham's already hurt. I mean, they're getting a lot of injuries. I guess I'm still not sold that Lamar Jackson's this new, reinvented passer down the field. I just don't think that's ever really going to happen. I think Zay Flowers is a good player. But I think the Dolphins are clearly the best team in the AFC through 2 weeks of the season. And look, I know the Bengals started slow last year, but they just look off to me. They look like a team that's hasn't practiced together. They look like a poorly coached team, which I think they are, and good players have kind of overshadowed that. Again, it is only 12% of the season in the rear view, only 2 games in. So all you can do is take care of your own business in front of you. And look, you get this win, you're 3-0, and then you have this big showdown in Buffalo. You're going to Buffalo when it's nice, though. You know what I mean? It's not going to be snowing. It's going to be a big game. I just, Reason, I thought you were crazy when you picked 14-3, honestly. But I'll tell you what.
Are you crazy when I picked us to lose to like a random team like the Giants and the Commanders with what you've seen the Commanders do?
Yeah, we ain't losing to the Giants, brother.
Trap game. That feels like a trap game. We're gonna walk in and we're gonna be like undefeated, and they're gonna have like one win, and Saquon gonna all of a sudden boom take off.
True or false? Worst contract NFL history, Daniel Jones.
Yeah, we knew it when they signed it, though.
Good Lord.
You should have given the money to Saquon. I would have laughed at Daniel Jones' face that I could find 10 of you.
Well, that's where it's going to get interesting because this is a great question that I was asked the other day.
And it feels like Dabble's going to die with sync with that shit, man, when he should have got off it.
Right. Well, like we've been hearing, the Dolphins have obviously been interested in running backs, right? And we were saying that like at the trade deadline, like the Jonathan Taylor stuff's not dead. And for the record, I don't think it is dead at all. and Saquon could get available if the Giants,
Najee, if they keep losing.
and I told you this before the season. I heard that the Steelers like Jalen Warren better than Najee Harris, so I could see them doing it. But like, if they don't go running back, because I think there'll always be buyers at the deadline. People will say the cap. Look, they could go to Tyreek Hill and say, "Hey, will you move this money and save us $12 million in cap? We're going to go try to win a Super Bowl and get somebody." Right? If it's not a running back, what move would you see that they could make at a deadline that would make them, even more dangerous? Is there a player or a position?
If a Roquan Smith caliber linebacker becomes available.
Yeah, that's funny, man, that you say that, because I did my first mock draft today, and I have the Dolphins selecting a linebacker in the first round. I think that's what Vic Fangio wants more than anything.
Yeah. We got over 425 people in the room right now. Are we doing that tomorrow?
Yeah.
So what time are you thinking?
Lunchtime works. Are we? Yeah.
Lunch or 2? Which one did you want to do?
I'd say lunch.
12 o'clock or 12:30?
Yeah. Does that work for you?
Yeah, sure. With 12 o'clock.
We're planning on the air here. Let's do 12.
All right, because I was going to name it. If we're going to do 2 p.m., I was going to do Afternoon Dolphins Delight.
Okay.
But
Delight.
Yeah, exactly, right? Afternoon Dolphins Delight, baby. If we do 2 o'clock show, that's what we'll call it, Afternoon Dolphins Delight. Well, technically, if we start at 12:01, that's afternoon. So we're going to give you a little Afternoon Dolphins Delight tomorrow on Twitter for all of you Twitter heads out there. We're going to be running a Twitter space on lunchtime for all y'all. We're going to talk about topics, and it's going to be more of a controlled space. Maybe if time permits, we'll bring people up one by one. So, they can ask a question, or they can bring up a topic that me and Neil can then discuss or such like that. But expect us on Twitter tomorrow. If you have Twitter, probably around 12 o'clock tomorrow, little Afternoon Dolphins Delight. Neil, you gave your prediction. Now, but before we get your final thoughts here on the Broncos and the Dolphins, there's something I wanted to show you. Interesting stat here, because Chris Carter was on Pat McAfee, and he said that, Dan Marino told him that Tyreek Hill is the hardest worker in Miami right now. And there's also a crazy stat right now. Look at this. Since arriving Miami, Tyreek Hill has gained 3.2 yards per route run. Nobody else is above 2.7 right now with Tyreek Hill. And you see the results. Let me ask you this. Segue into the Denver stuff. Do you think, because Christian Gonzalez, I think he got away with the penalty. Tyreek tripped on that one where Tyreek fell.
Yeah, I remember that.
He got handsy with them when you watch the all 22. He got away with one there. And really, if Tua didn't hang up that ball, Christian Gonzalez doesn't have that interception. But Tyreek Hill was kind of held in check. What are you expecting this weekend? Are you expecting him to blow up, go off? What are you expecting heading into this weekend from the Dolphins?
Tyreek Hill is the best wide receiver on the planet. To me, he might be the overall best player in football. He's the one player in football that I don't think you can duplicate. He's that good of a player. I don't think he had a big game against New England because we really didn't need him to. Honestly, I think that we saw what the game plan was. We adjusted, and it was what it was. He still had a touchdown in that game, and he's got 3 in 2 games. So I think that as good as Patrick Surtain is, I don't want to be him.
Yeah.
Home opener, Tyreek Hill. Because here's the thing about Tyreek Hill. I was worried if things didn't go his way when we acquired him. This was my concern about him, that he could be a cancer to your locker room. It might be the wrongest take I've ever had in covering football. I think Tua is a great leader. I think Tyreek's the best leader on our team. And I think that this guy's going to come out and put on a show. And I think he can do that every week, man. And that's what makes him awesome. He knows the Broncos used to play him twice a year. He's not afraid of Patrick Surtain Jr., right? Tyreek Hill is going to go out there and put up big stats. And that's with Waddle playing or not. That's just who the hell he is, man. This guy is, I mean this, man. and I don't say it lightly, with all respect to everybody that's been on the Miami Dolphins since 2000, Tyreek Hill is the best player I've seen since Dan Marino in a Miami Dolphins uniform. And I just think, man, it's one of those things to me, man, that it still doesn't feel real, like that he's a Miami Dolphin. Like, it is the best trade that I've ever seen our team make in my lifetime. And I jokingly said I'd trade 5 first-round picks. For Tyreek Hill, I would. Like, I really, really would. So I think Tyreek's going to go off. God, I love
Brother,
that.
because can I say this,
I
Neil?
love that guy, man.
You know,
Love him.
everyone wants to say, "Oh, Tua," because of Tyreek and Waddle. Well, we just watched a game where that it just killed that narrative. But still, so if it's all Reek because of Tua, A, why is Mahomes struggling right now? And B, because remember it was all Mahomes when Reek
Right.
left. And
Right.
B, why is Reek putting up even bigger numbers with Tua than he ever did with Patrick Mahomes? And don't give me because he had Travis Kelce, because he got Jalen Waddle. So
You know what?
I don't want to hear that.
I want to answer that question fairly because I still think Patrick Mahomes is better than Tua, and I'm not going
I
to
agree,
change him.
but I'm just
But
saying.
I think Tua and Tyreek have better chemistry than Mahomes and Tyreek
I
have.
agree. Yeah.
I think that's the answer to that question. And I'm not saying that I honestly, man, I don't know much about like Patrick Mahomes.
Tua has a better skill set for what Tyreek is, other than the arm strength.
Right. And like I've heard the argument that like, oh, the only reason he's more productive is that Travis Kelce's not in Miami. Well, Jalen Waddle had the same amount of yards as Travis Kelce last year. So I just think it's one of those things that, man, sometimes a glove just fits. And I think the combination, but I also think it's a testament is because Dan Marino's not lying. Tyreek Hill is one of the hardest workers in this league. But guess who's right by his side working with him every time? Tua Tagovailoa. And that's why I think they put in so much work together off the field. And you always want to see that from your quarterback, your receivers. But man, like it's like a brotherhood between those two guys. And Waddle's part of that too. And that's why, I can't say enough good things about Jalen Waddle. I think Jalen Waddle was on the verge against the Patriots of blowing up before that hit. And, people are saying that was not that was definitely a egregious hit. It was helmet to helmet.
Yeah.
But man, I mean, like, to watch Tyreek Hill, man, like, you never are out of a game. Like, what he did in Baltimore last year, man, like, I don't think there's that many players that ever have played this game that have that ability. I know there's the Calvin Johnson guys that can make those big catches. For me, I think Jerry Rice, Randy Moss, and Tyreek Hill are the best 3 wide receivers that I've ever seen play football. If I had to pick 3 guys, that's how I would rank it. I actually think Randy Moss is better than Jerry Rice. Don't kill me. I just think it was a different era of football for Rice, and I think Randy Moss, just naturally talented, was the best one that I've ever seen. But
where do you rank Terrell Owens? Does Terrell Owens make your top 5?
Yeah. God, that's tough. Yeah, he's probably on 5 to 7. I mean, look, when he was on the 49ers and the Eagles, man, he was good. But he's another one of those. Yeah, when he hung on a little too long. Didn't he go he was on the Bills, right? Or am I wrong?
Yeah, he was on the Bills.
Yeah, so, but no, man, I'm excited. Yeah, so tomorrow for lunch, we're going to be on a Twitter space. It's something the reason I've been talking about. We want to jump in and have for them. It's not going to be, it's going to be controlled. We're going to, we'll definitely get participation and questions. We'll dig into the game. It's something that we're going to start doing, more of these pop-up Twitter spaces, just more time with the community, more interaction. We're discussing a lot of things behind the scenes of how we could do it. Down the line, probably meetups at games and stuff like that. But, tomorrow at 12, we'll chop it up over lunch.
Yeah, for sure. And then at night, in the evening at 5 p.m., same time, I'll be live for my game preview. I'll give my prediction. We'll go over keys to victory for the offense and the defense, my matchup to watch, all that kind of stuff. And then don't forget, I'll be live reacting this Sunday to the game. And then after the game, the first, after some late ones, we are going to have a afternoon post-game panel show, the 5th quarter post-game panel show. Hopefully we'll be celebrating yet another victory. So I hope y'all will be able to join us for that. Listen, this is the perfect chance for this team to go 3-0, continue to work on the kinks and get better and get geared up and as well-oiled as a machine as possible heading into Buffalo with week 4. Already the weather should be on our side. Let's have momentum on our side. Let's go get a dub this weekend. As always, Neal, always a pleasure. And we will see all of y'all tomorrow if you're on Twitter at 12 p.m. for a little afternoon Dolphins Delight. And then we will see all of y'all next week back here when we dive fin too deep. Until next time, everyone, stay happy, healthy, safe, and blessed. And as always, fins up all day, every day.